Okay, so you're welcome everyone to another episode in our Creative Communities First podcast series. My name is Grace Roach and I work with Momentum. We are a project partner in the Creative Communities First project funded by the Erasmus Plus. Creative Communities First is a project which seeks to help higher education institutions interact with and work with creative industries. I'm delighted to be joined today by a colleague from another project, Dominik, who's going to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about your work, Dominik, and your organisation, please.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Grace. Thanks for inviting me. I'm Dominik Lappenküper. I work as a research associate at the Science to Business Marketing Research Center of the FH Münster University of Applied Sciences in Germany, where I work on different Erasmus Plus projects as well, or different projects in general, and where we research the transfer from university on the one side to business, that's where the name comes from, Science to Business, but also to society in general, and where we also look specifically on how science can actually improve how our society works, lives, and that's basically what I do.
Brilliant, cool, lovely. And I know you have a particular interest, Dominik, in service learning and e-service learning, and it's quite a big topic in the Creative Communities First project. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your interest in those areas.
Yeah, so as part of our work as a center, we also have courses, and in one of them we offer service learning as one key element, working on projects with partners from the community, and that's where I'm also involved in as a coach for student groups. And yeah, due to the pandemic, that shifted quite heavily to online. But that also opened up new opportunities for us, where I think we'll talk a bit more later on about. But that's where my interest in service learning and e-service learning in particular came from. And in one of our projects, we investigated how to set up those courses quite heavily.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. And you're talking there about the Digital Social Impact Project, and I've been very lucky to get to work with you on that. And I suppose I have a little bit of an insight, and I hope we can share with everyone today some of the work that was done on that project, because I think it's quite groundbreaking, the research, and it was really interesting. So as part of the work of that project, you and I and the others in the team interviewed quite a few educators about the potential of e-service learning, particularly as a pedagogy post-COVID. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that research and some of the findings.
Yeah, definitely. So in total, I mean, the project is, we have 5 partners from 4 different countries over Europe, and we interviewed 50 educators who are involved in different aspects of social impact teaching, as we call it in that element, not only focusing on service learning, but it actually turned out that most of the experiences were related to service learning as a teaching format. And we interviewed them on their experience during COVID, pre-COVID, and also now going a bit into past-COVID, so to say. And our main findings were, when it comes to these courses or these learning experiences, that we can pretty much split them up into 3 phases when educators think about creating such a course. And one is the design phase, how we call it, where it's all about, okay, who do I want to cooperate with from the society, from the community, and how to set up that relationship. Then it's actually the delivery, where the students come into play. And then there's also a very important part, the reflection part. So these 3 phases were crucial, or the main setup of our experience and our findings, with each separate barriers and drivers associated to each of these phases. But that's, I mean, there was research on service learning previously, and we took a lot of those findings, of course, also into consideration, and mixing that now to the digital element with regards to virtual teaching. And what we definitely can say is that the digital tools are here to stay. A lot of the educators plan on continuing their work with digital tools, and we definitely found also some insights that the selection of these digital tools that I want to use in my service learning experience for the students is crucial, and a lot of thought should go into that during the design phase so that the delivery and the reflection actually work quite smoothly. And yeah, they helped a lot of collaboration, and they even made some collaborations possible that were not that feasible before. So, for example, also in our center, we now extended our service learning offerings or our partnerships beyond the regional aspect to other cities from Germany, for example, from Potsdam, where we do now currently a project, but also to completely different countries and continents. So we also have a project together with an NGO from South Africa, and that's only possible in a virtual environment because you can't just travel there that easily with a student crew. So yeah, these were some of the findings there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think that's the thing. I mean, we've really learned from COVID how technology can, well, I suppose, not only allow us to do things differently, but to extend the scope and reach of our work and our study and our learning. So, yeah, I think it became quite clear in the Digital Social Impact Project for me, certainly, that e-service learning has, a really wide application. We also looked at some case studies, and there was quite a variety of those as well, wasn't there?
Yes, definitely. We focused on 20 different case studies, but best practice cases, but there were so many different applications. In our interviews, we had educators from the social sciences, we had educators from the engineering departments, from the creative departments. Basically, it turned out that you can apply service learning in some kind of way in every single instance of teaching in a higher education environment. And that was really an eye-opener for me as well. So there are universities out there, there are educators out there applying these concepts to create some kind of social impact together with a social partner, with the community, with the municipalities in every single environment. So be it in architecture where you design together with the students a more socially nicer spaces in the university, also in the cities, in NGOs, how to help them and so forth. Engineering, programming new websites, programming new tools. So it's mind-blowing actually. It was actually mind-blowing for me how wide the range is of potential applications of this concept.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Definitely lots more work to be done in this space. So you talked to us a little bit there about, the three aspects that became clear from the Digital Social Impact Project: the design phase, the delivery phase, the reflection phase. I think that's really interesting because the Creative Communities First project is looking to create a framework for e-service learning. And it's also really interested in looking at how it can be delivered in a sprint format, so in something like an online hackathon. And I wonder, from your experience of the research, the interviews, etc., as well as the tools actually that you mentioned, are there other key components that you think are important for the successful delivery of e-service learning programs or projects?
I would definitely say during if you want to run it as a hackathon, in our case studies, we had also a very wide range of different timings, so to say. Courses run throughout the semester, only as a block seminar, or over even more longer period of time. So there was also a wide range of those, and still we could apply these three phases. So I think also, and maybe even more so, in such a very focused time frame, it becomes even more critical to have a very clear structure before, because you don't have much time to react during the sprint. You definitely need to jointly set the goals. What do you actually want to get out of it? As both from an educational perspective, but also from the partner perspective, and make clear expectation management so that both sides are happy in the end, no matter how it goes, so to say. One more thing, maybe especially regarding the digital tools, heavily testing them and making sure that they work for all involved stakeholders. That was one thing that not only in e-service learning but also in virtual teaching became quite apparent quite quickly during the pandemic, that we expected certain tools to work for everybody, but I mean, students come from all different backgrounds and might not have access to the same hardware, to the same software, to the same internet connection. So making very sure before actually running the course that everybody can actually join in a manner that makes work possible. That is very, very important. And then from a perspective of the service learning experience, I mean, one of the main goals from what I heard is that the students are supposed to get to know these different aspects and not only their narrow field of study, but also how it impacts society and how their background or their study program can actually also impact have social value. And for that to really get settled in their minds, reflection is a key part, and that should also be involved in these sprint settings to really have one or daily or depending on the time frame, of course, some time set where students are supposed to reflect on what they're doing so far. And then, I mean, for most educators, you don't just develop a new course to run it once. You want to run it multiple times, right? But you should be open to see the program or the first run as a pilot. And you should be open to iteratively improve upon it because every single instance will be different. And new tools come up in the digital sphere that you might want to integrate. And you should have an openness to that to iteratively improve the sprint or the hackathon.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I suppose there's some good news there from Digital Social Impact. If there are educators out there wanting to create or develop an e-service learning course, or be it in an online hackathon format or other, we have some resources there. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the resources and where some of our listeners can find them?
Very gladly. So all of the project is, all of the findings from our project are published on our website, which is called digitalsocialimpact.eu, all written together. And there you can find all of our findings from the interviews written up as a report. You can download it as a PDF version, or you can look at it on the website. And there we will also list all the, how we went about it, the methodology in more detail, and then the key findings, some statistics of who we interviewed and so forth. And then based on that, we are actually currently working on a course configurator where we list the different activities that can be integrated into such service learning environments or e-service learning environments, and also digital tools that we recommend based on the findings from our interviews for these different phases. So it takes educators from all different backgrounds on the journey through the design, delivery, and reflection phase. And we hope to support them in creating new courses or in adapting their existing courses to create more social impact. And we are very, very open for feedback, so please take a look at it on our website. Under resources, you will find it, and just play around with it a bit. And we're still in the improvement phase here as well, so we're definitely looking for any kind of feedback.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thanks, Dominik. Great to have you here today to join us for the Creative Communities First podcast. Thank you so much for your insights. Thank you for sharing the learning from your Digital Social Impact project. Lovely to see the relationship between these two projects, and hopefully both sets of partners can keep in touch and develop more in this space in the future.
Definitely. Thank you very much for the opportunity.